start seated. Okay, so hands behind, so I'm just dropping back onto my hands. So slow, let's start slow. Good, and slowly lift. So slow, so you can use less of your, less muscle, and think about moving the bone, right? So near my end range, I'm just letting the bones get heavy. I'm not really pushing into end range. And then even as I lift, thighs are lifting, not necessarily because I'm pulling them up with my muscles, right? Slow it down. Right, so different way of engaging the tissue. Slowly lift, thighs get heavy, 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 heavy to lift the knees. And then slowly, slowly, slowly tip to the other side. Again, one more, very slow. Slow down even more so you can feel how heavy can the pelvis get to go over that buttock flesh. How heavy can the thighs be? How heavy can the body be? One more. Heavy, 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 right? It's like a free butt massage. So slow it down. Because when we go faster, the tissue starts to engage and it pushes us away from the floor. And then come back to center. Okay, so knees slowly tipping right. And I'm just going to play with lifting the opposite leg up and down. Slow it down, up and down, up and down. Last time, up and down. Good. And this time I'm just going to shift my weight onto my right hand. Let's just take that left arm up and over. Little side bend, right elbow can bend a little bit, just tipping to that right side. And then coming back to center. So I'm tipped to the right, I'm keeping my left knee down for a moment. And I'm just going to turn, lean back and turn towards that left leg. So I get a little bit front, side, thigh, hip, waist. And then lift up, slowly come back up to center. And then tipping to the other side. So the leg that's externally rotated, if it's high up, you can shove something under it, a blanket, a block. The leg that's internally rotated, just let it be heavy. Heavy. Try to release the inner leg, relax the inner leg. And then lift and lower and lift and lower and lift and lower and lift and lower. Last one, lift and lower. Good, and then I'm just going to shift my weight forward a little bit. I'm on my left hand, my right knees come down. Just going to take that right arm up and over. And if you're on the other hand and hip, that's fine. Again, you can lean as far out to that back hand. You can even look up a little. And then come forward, bringing that hand behind. I'm just going to let my torso lay back. Again, so I just get a little bit of outer front thigh, hip, waist. And then sitting up again and coming back to center. Okay. This time both knees right again. Back hip stays on the floor, but I'm going to let my back arm swing around, looking over to the back of the room. And then hip comes to the floor, and I'm going to swing the opposite arm around and look over that shoulder. Good, one more time, swing. And swing. Good, knees up and over to the other side. Good, again, back arm, the internally rotated leg swinging around to the back of the room. Let the head follow and then return other side. Externally rotated arm swinging to the back of the room and then one time each side again. Swing and swing. Hands back, knees up to center, over to the other side. This time letting the back hip lift and follow the ribs, right? So now it's pelvis and ribs turning towards the back of the room and then letting that back hip come to the floor as I turn again to the other side, away from the externally rotated leg. One more time, swinging, back hip lifts, and then hip drops and swinging across that leg. And then knees up and over to the other side. Again, hip is going to follow. So ribs and pelvis, swing around and then drop back and swing again to the other side. First side, swinging, hips lifting. So you get that nice opening in the front hip again. And then dropping that back hip and swing around it. Good. And center. One more time, knees to the right. Feet can come in a little closer to the body. Hopefully it's a little easier to sit. But this time I'm just gonna put right hand down on the floor, just like we did before. But this time I'm gonna lean into that back hand and shift onto my knees and shins. So the hips go forward as that top arm goes up and back, maybe even looking up under that arm. And then slowly lower down. And knees up and over to the left. Good, left hand behind. Good, hips go up, up as that top arm goes up and back. Again, you can look up under that arm. And slowly down. One more time, first side, knees tip to the right. Again, pressing into the shins, lifting up. Good. Again, maybe just play with lifting your chest up, a little bit of a back bend. And slowly come down, one more time, other side. Knees left, left hand down, hips up. Right, and feeling that almost the back leg or the internally rotated leg press. Breastbone lift as you reach back and then come back. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to grab my blocks. And I'm going to take my blocks and I'm just going to put them on the lowest height end to end at the bottom of my mat. And then lay down. So my heels are on my blocks. Good, and I'm on the ground. Good. So I'm just gonna press my left heel, so my feet maybe about hip distance apart or sitting bone distance apart. And I'm going to press my left heel into the block as I take my right leg up, first towards the ceiling. Good, and as I press that left leg down into the block, and that right hip down into the floor. I'm much more focused on the left heel. But I want to keep that right hip heavy just so the front hip isn't working quite so hard. Good, and then maybe bend the knee. Draw the knee in towards the chest, but I'm still pressing into that left heel. The back of that left leg is active. Good, and then interlace your fingers behind the right leg, straighten that right leg again. And flex and point, and flex, and point. One more time, flex, and point. Then again, release the hands and lower that leg down. Good, pressing the right heel into the block, left leg up. Good, and just feeling the difference, right? This side from the other side. Keeping the back of that right leg engaged, right? As if the effort of the right leg was keeping the left leg up. Good, bend that left leg, knee into the chest. Like feeling what that does, right? One leg in flexion, one leg more in extension or neutral. Good, and then interlace your fingers behind your left thigh and straighten your left leg. Again, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point. One more time, flex, and point. And then release the arms again and just pause. Again, right leg pressing back into that block. Good, and then lower that left leg down. Good, one more time, press into the left leg, swing the right leg up. Good, this time I'm gonna take that right leg slowly out to the right, doesn't have to be very far, maybe a third of the way out. And slowly center. Keep anchoring that left leg into the block. Let that right leg come across to the left. The right hip is still on the floor, but the leg is coming across. And center. One more time to the right. And slowly center, slow, slow, slow. And left. And center. Good, and right leg down against the block. Left leg up. Again, feeling that, almost the clarity as the right leg presses into the block, that clear focus on your central line, right? So from your heel up the inner leg, or the center of the leg, through the pelvis, through the spine, through the neck, through the crown. And then let's take that left leg out to the left. Again, doesn't have to be far. And again, slowly enough so you're understanding how the body is navigating. And then up to center and over to the right. So if you hold your breath, if you grip your jaw, you squeeze your hands, you stop your breath. Notice. Can you keep breathing? Can you slow down? Can you figure out how to find that strength in a different way? And back up to, out to the left, center, across to the right. And center. Good, and down. Good. Oh. Okay. Let's just take both knees into your chest. And both legs straight for a moment. I'm just gonna reach my hands up, grab my ankles, and just pause here for a moment. And then slowly lower my head down. And slowly, slowly lower my legs down. Good. So my legs are together. So I'm going to press both heels into the floor. And this time I'm going to lift my hips off the floor. So I'm like a weird, funny kind of a plank. So my back ribs and my heels are on the floor. My head's on the floor. Pressing into that left leg, pressing into that right leg. And slowly lower down. Good, bend both knees. Pull both knees slowly in towards the chest. Again, 2 straight legs. Reaching up towards the ankles. You can even bring the feet closer to the hands closer to the feet. And then slowly lower the head down, the arms down, the legs down. You can always use the legs or the arms alongside the body as you lower the legs down. Good, feet together, press into the heels, lift the hips up. Just pausing, watching your breath. Good, slowly lower the hips down. Last time, bend both knees, knees into the chest. 2 straight legs. Lifting the head up, arms up, reaching maybe towards the toes. And then slowly lower the head down. And slowly, again, arms can be alongside the body if you need to. Lower the legs down. Oh, good. So pressing that left leg into the block. So I'm going to start to bend the right leg. And as I bend the right leg, I'm going to lift the hips up. So the hips are off the floor. Right leg is coming towards the chest. Extend that right leg up. And then lower the right leg down. Let's go ahead and keep the hips up. Just bend the left leg, bring the left knee into the chest. Extend that left leg up. Lower the left leg down. And you can use your elbows on the floor, or you can bring your arms alongside your body and let your arms assist a little bit. We're out to the side. Right knee into the chest. Right leg up and lower. Left knee into the chest, hips are off the floor. Left leg up and lower down. Good, bend your knees. And I'm just going to scoot either towards the blocks or slide the blocks towards me. Feet on blocks. Good, a little anterior tilt in the pelvis. Little posterior tilt. And trying to get as much or feel your range of motion as much as you can. So as your sitting bones and tailbone tips towards the floor and the top of the sacrum is lifted, just feeling your end range. So as you roll up the length of the sacrum, and you feel the top of the sacrum tip back and the lower lumbar tip back, and the length of the lumbar tip back. Right, notice how the body spreads into the floor. Notice how the posterior tilt happens, the engagement in the pelvis, if any. And then rolling the other way. Nice and slow. And noticing your end range. What's the engagement? Right side, left side. And then rolling up. Length of sacrum to the top of the sacrum, tipping back. Spreading, widening, lengthening. And one more time, slowly rolling down, anteriorly tilting. And noticing how the head is responding. If the head isn't moving, notice that. And posterior tilt. Good, and on this posterior tilt, just keep rolling the hips up. So the tailbone and sitting bones keep moving up into the backs of the legs, rolling the spine up. Right, so the sitting bones will probably be the most active. The back muscles a little more passive. and slowly roll down. And anterior tilt and posterior tilt. Feeling the segments of the spine as they roll up. Again, feeling how the body responds to that. Noticing excessive kind of use or force or work as you roll all the way down. This time I'm going to turn the toes out a little bit as I anteriorly tilt. So the heels are slightly and the toes are slightly out, posteriorly tilt, and slowly roll back up again. And noticing when the back wants to push up or the ribs want to push up, letting the legs continue to be the stronger initiator. And slowly roll down. Good. Before I move into my anterior tilt, I'm going to turn my heels or my toes in so when my heels are wider. And again, anteriorly tilt. And posterior tilt. Again, rolling the spine up. Noticing the change, the difference between the toes turned out and toes turned in. Notice any stickiness, catch. And come back to center. Okay. Last thing. All right, let's take left leg up to the ceiling. Good. Again, that little anterior tilt, posterior tilt, and rolling the hips up again, rolling the spine up again, and rolling down. Taking your time. One more time, rolling up. Right, taking your time, feeling, listening. And slowly roll down. Good, one more time, rolling up. Good, this time I'm gonna keep the hips up. I'm gonna let that left leg lower towards the floor. It's straight, the hips are up. The left leg comes towards the floor. And then back up to the ceiling and slowly roll the spine down. So I bend that left leg, straighten the right leg. Again, that little anterior tilt, posterior tilt. Let the initiation of the legs lift the ribs up and lower. The ribs down, the lumbar down, the sacrum down. Even a little anterior tilt, posterior tilt, rolling up and rolling down. Nice and smooth, just noticing even the difference from this side to the other side, the movement, the range, sensation. This time staying up, hips stay up, and that right leg lowers towards the floor. Hips are up, leg comes back up, and slowly, slowly lower down. Bend that right leg. And just pause for a moment, breathe. Let's grab our knees with our hands. And again, just slowly, slowly bend the arms, draw the knees and thighs closer. And then let the arms straighten. And then let the arms bend. And we're using the slowness as a way to communicate with the nervous system. Right, so it's different than just kind of pulling on the tissue. And straighten. And bend. Good. And feet to the blocks. Okay, let's roll onto our side and come up to sit. Okay, let's do a couple standing things. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start with my feet somewhat facing forward. Good. And I'm just going to play. So legs are going to stay straight, and I'm not fixing my pelvis, but I'm not spinning my pelvis just yet. All right, so left arm swinging to the right, and then the opposite, right arm swinging left. And swing right, and swing left, and swing right, and swing left. Good, and then I'm gonna take that left arm and swing it more up and back. So I'm reaching up to an upward diagonal as I swing back. You can even slow down and sink into the end range. And then as I swing left, I'm gonna bring that right arm down. So there's a little bit of flexion. Looking down, letting the back round, and then swinging right again. Left arm reaches up, eyes lift, little bit of an extension, and then down and to the left with that right arm. One more time, swinging up and back with that left arm, and down and back with that right arm. Changing the pattern, right arm goes up and to the left, to the back of the room. Again, my pelvis isn't fixed, but it's not swinging quite so much. And then coming down, a little bit of a flexion. So left arm reaches down, head drops down, rounding the back, reaching back and down. And then back and up. And back and down. And back and up. And back and down. And center. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to play with bending one leg. So let's do the right leg, and I'm just going to side bend a little bit to the left. And then come up. Other leg, left leg bends, left arm comes up and to the right. Good, first side again, right leg bends, right arm goes up. This time I'm going to turn and look up to the ceiling. Look up under that arm. And come up, left leg again bends, left arm up, looking up under that arm or inside the arm if you can. And center, one more time to the right, right arm, right leg bends, right arm goes up. And center, other side, left arm, left leg bends, left arm up. Good, and center. Hold. Okay, and then I'm going to bring my feet together, and I'm similar, and I'm just going to step right leg out, bend it. So there's a little bit of a wider stance as I do that side bend, and let the bottom arm reach across the opposite direction. And then let that right leg straighten, left leg bends, and side bend to the right. Center, step back in, pause. Good. Left leg steps out, bends, little side bend to the right. And coming up, little side bend, right knee's gonna bend, side bend left. Center, step in. and pause. Right, so let's go a little bit bigger and let your step outs be part of your journey, right? So there's this, maybe bend both knees, step out. Right leg bends, left leg straightens, side bend left. Straighten the right leg. Bend the left leg, side bend right. And come back up to center. Left knee bends again, slowly. Step back in. Good, other side. Right, both knees bend. Reaching out, step. And then that leg bends, side bend towards the leg we moved away from. Straighten both legs, side bend to the traveling leg. And coming up, bend both knees. Again, I'm going to shift back onto this leg. It's a slow shift. I want to get steady on that standing leg and then come back in. One more like that. Bend both knees a little. Traveling leg, and step. Straighten the standing leg. Again, I'm going to tip. And straighten both legs, and then switch legs, and tip. And come up. Bend both knees just a little bit. I'm going to shift this way. And the traveling leg is again going to lift and shift. Good. First side. Stepping out. And then shift towards that leg, let that leg bend. And tip. Straighten both legs. Bend the opposite leg, tip away from it. And straighten. Good, bend both knees. And again, I'm just going to shift towards this leg. Lift. And bring together. Yay. Okay, let's just stay here. Again, bend, extend, extend, extend. Very slow, very slow. Get some height, get some height. Good, step. Shift. And again, get some height. Maybe arms out to the side, get some height. Good. And shift again. One more time. Let your body negotiate. And step. One more. Lift. You can point, you can flex. And shift. Two straight legs. Swinging to the right, left arm leads. Pelvis somewhat neutral, or not following quite so much. And then shifting left, right arm leads. And just one at the diagonal, left arm up and back, looking up. And then shifting left, right arm down and back. And then let's swing right arm up and back to the left. And left arm down and back to the right. Okay. And arms out to the side, just ribs to the right, left, right, left, forward, right, back, left, forward, right, back, left, changing direction in your circle. Right, just noticing sensation, noticing movement, smoothness, roughness, stickiness, dullness. Good. Okay. So toes out, heels in. Good, and I'm just gonna fold forward. Hands to the floor. Good, I'm gonna walk my hands towards one leg. Center and walk over to the other leg. And center and the first leg. And center and the second leg. Good, and then bringing the hands more center, right under the shoulders. Just gonna walk my hands forward. Right, walking one at a time. So I'm gonna walk one hand forward, let my weight really sink onto that arm and hand as I shift the other hand past that hand. And then shift my weight onto that hand. And then switch. So as I come forward, the heels will lift. You can spin the heels open. You can come into a little bit of a plank with the feet wide. And then let's go ahead and play with bringing the hips down and forward, down towards the hands, forward towards the hands, lifting the head, a little bit of an upward dog with the feet wide. And then swinging the hips back and up. Downward dog shape. And again, let's one hand travel back, shifting your weight onto, right, one hand is holding you, the other hand is traveling. And then again, one hand is holding, the other hand is traveling back. And again, shift, one hand is holding, other hand is traveling. Shifting all the way back to your standing. You can again spin the heels in, the toes out. Bend the knees, send the knees out to the side of the rooms or towards the toes. Drop the hips, round yourself up into a little goddess shape. And straighten your legs. All right, let's do one more of those. This time rounding. So head tipping forward, breastbone pulling back. So the back ribs get to splay and spread. The lower back gets to spread back, splay back as you round down. Good, again, same thing, noticing where your dominant hand is. See if you can lead from your non-dominant. One hand shifts forward. All the weight is on that hand. Then the other hand travels, shifts forward. Slow catwalk. Keep shifting forward. Some point the heels are going to come off the floor. Let the heels widen. Let the hands come under your shoulders. Good. And this time, just slight variation. We're going to add one thing. Shifting more weight onto your left hand, left foot, right arm reaches either to the side of the room or up to the ceiling. Pelvis can turn, right hand down. Shifting more weight, right hand, right foot, left arm either out to the side of the room or up to the ceiling. And back to the floor. One more time, hips come down and forward. Put an upward facing dog with the feet wide. And then swinging the hips up and back. Good, again, let's move that dominant hand first. Walk that hand forward so your non-dominant hand is holding you. And then shift. One hand is traveling, one hand is holding. And shift. And shift. Again, heels can come in, toes can point out, hips can drop, slowly roll, tailbone, sitting bones down, top of the sacrum back, lower spine, middle spine, upper back, head up. I forgot my goddess. Just walk your feet together. All right. Grabbing, so blocks handy. Let's just do a couple rolls. Knees bent, just a couple. And then a couple more, maybe with the legs straight. You can swing up to sit and swing the legs overhead. Again, slow it down. Good. And then laying down, blocks are handy. Good, and again, you get to decide how much height you want into your pelvis. So you can have one block. You can have 2 blocks. That's actually really nice to have 2 blocks, butt to butt, sometimes with some space between if you need some space for your sacrum. Or 2 blocks end to end or butt to butt. Or 2 blocks stacked. Or 2 blocks tall and butt to butt. And you get to decide. Heels up, posteriorly tilt that pelvis, and listen to what your body needs today. Sometimes we need lower, sometimes we need higher. Listening to the response in your body, less about your mind, what your mind wants, more about what your body is feeling. Does it feel good? Does your breast feel tight? Does it feel open? And following the lead of sensation, feeling. And almost this is a place where we get to practice stepping out of our expectation of our body or what we think we want, what we think we should do, to really following sensation, following breath, following the response in the body. Is the body softening? Is there some ease? Is there a sense of space or appreciation? Good. You can keep your feet on the floor if you'd like, or you can take the knees up over your pelvis. Good, and again, playing with just the shape of the back. Again, sometimes we have habits of either pushing the ribs up or kind of focusing the abdominals. See if you can find the place where it's less about muscular focus and more about bone balance. Balancing the structure of the bones. The legs can be straight or slightly bent or bent. And finding a place for your arms, your hands, softening your upper back and neck and throat, especially the throat, the tongue, the mouth. Let's take the legs wide for a moment out into a straddle. Even bend your knees in your straddle, just letting the thighs the weight of the thighs move away from each other, at the same time move down into the pelvis. Go ahead, keeping those knees bent, let's take that left knee closer to the chest and the right knee further away. So the right toes may graze the floor, or you can straighten that right leg for a moment. Or even halfway straighten, that's also very interesting. And then slowly kind of helicopter back around, two knees out to the side, and then change direction. Right knee comes in towards the chest, left knee goes away. And we can play with just quasi straightening that left leg, just very interesting. Transition, very interesting. And then bend again, and then again, swing the knees back out to the side. And then slowly knees back to center. Again, as if the inner thighs could just pour towards the pubis. And the weight of the thighs just sinks towards the pelvis. And then maybe float the feet up for the last few breaths. Good, and then bending knees. Let's float the feet to the floor. And again, lifting the heels up. And scooping those sitting bones up. Lifting the hips up, and again, super slow. Really slow. Legs are going to have to focus, but laying the spine down. And as you do, just noticing what maybe was working that can soften. One shoulder, the neck, throat, lower back. Just lay that tissue down, lay the structure down. Just pausing, breathing, noticing. Good, and then when and if you're ready, you can extend your legs, you can tuck the blocks under your thighs. Even on the middle height feels really nice just to have the knees lifted. Just taking some of the weight of the legs off of the lower back. Just feeling an openness in the throat and the face, back of the pelvis, the belly. And keep listening to your body, keep listening to what's underneath you, the support underneath you, the space around you, or the comfort of the space around you. Right, if there's distraction, maybe draw more attention to your breath. And if there's a soft light, the sound of a bird, letting that really help soften your experience. Connecting to, right, what feels really anchoring, like the earth. What feels very soothing, the goodness, all the goodness in your immediate life, all the goodness within your being. Your goodness in your community. Using that, the leaning, that resourcing, that scaffolding, like to support you in the awareness of the spaces that are out of balance, distorted, come in. Letting your resource help you digest, navigate, organize, soften, expand. Wiggling fingers and toes. Moving into arms and legs. Bending, folding, shifting, rolling. And bringing yourself up to sit. Let's just do a little sound. Okay, so Ma, we'll do first sound of Ma, M-A. Inhaling. Ma. Second sound, aham, A-H-A-M, aham. Inhaling. Aham. Third sound, anam, A-N-A-M. Inhale fully. Anam. Okay, let's do all three sounds. One breath, so they'll be a little shorter. Aham. Anam. Let's do it again. 2 more times. 2 different breaths. Ma, aham, anam. Ma, aham, anam. Just listening to your breath, your body, just the resonance of the vibration. Just palms together in front of your heart. And aiming for just the offering. May all beings find peace. May all beings have peace. Namaste.